If I Were You by Douglas James. Let's start this play, one act play, and we'll read before you read section first. Gerard lives alone in a lonely cottage. An intruder who is a criminal enters his cottage. He intends to murder Gerard and take on his identity. Does he succeed? So, the whole play is all about a playwright named Gerard. Now, the whole act revolves around how he escapes being killed by an intruder. Who is an intruder? Intruder is a person who enters without permission, who enters somebody's house or office without permission. Now, the intruder who wants to steal the identity of Gerard and want to live peacefully. How Gerard fools the intruder, confines him in a cupboard, and finally hands him over to the sergeant. So the whole act is based on the theme of Gerard's smartness and presence of mind. There is this activity section below it. The following words and phrases occur in the play. So these are the following words and the phrases which you are going to be finding in the play. Do you know their meanings? So these phrases have their meanings in this side, another side. Match them with the meanings given to find out. Like you have seen, I've already done it here. So I would want you all to do it yourself with the help of the dictionary, and it will going to help you while reading the play and act. Let's begin. What is scene 1? A small cottage interior. There is an entrance back right which may be curtained. Another door to the left must be a practical door. The furniture is simple, consisting of a small table towards the left, a chair or two, and a divan rather upstage on the right. On the table is a telephone. When the curtain rises, Gerard is standing by the table making a phone call. He is of medium height and wearing horn-rimmed glasses. He is dressed in a lounge suit and a great coat. His voice is cultured. The whole play, as you can see in the picture itself, the whole play is set in a small cottage. This is scene 1. The room has an entrance on the right, and then there is another door on the left. The room has simple furniture, as you can see here, a divan, a table, a lamp. A telephone is also kept here, as you can see. And this person is Gerard. He's of medium height. He's wearing spectacles that are in the shape of horns. He's wearing a lounge suit, as you can see here. His voice indicates that he's cultured and well educated. He seems to be well mannered, well educated, and cultured. Gerard. So the first dialogue is of Gerard. As you can see, there are two characters, Gerard and Intruder. Gerard. Well, tell him to phone up directly. I must know. Yes, I expect I will still be here, but you must not count on that. In about 10 minutes' time. Righto, goodbye. Gerard is talking in the phone. He's talking on the phone and he says that the person should call him up directly. He adds that he would reach in 10 minutes, bids goodbye and put the receiver back on the phone. He puts down the phone and goes to the divan on the left. There is a travelling bag and he starts packing, as you can see here. He starts packing his bag. Another man similar in build to Gerard enters from the right. Now another man from his right side enters and he is having a revolver in his hand. He is dressed in an overcoat and soft hat. He bumps accidentally against the table. This is a table and he bumps here accidentally. And Gerard turns quickly to have a look who's there by the sound of this bump. Gerard, why, this is a surprise, Mr. Intruder. I'm glad you are pleased to see me. I don't think you will be pleased for long. Put those paws up. Intruder says that he is glad to find Gerard happy, as Gerard speaks pleasantly to the stranger. Pleasantly is, as you can see here in the bracket, he's speaking pleasantly. He's not at all like fear. He's not with fear, but in fact he is speaking to Intruder pleasantly and says that he's surprised to see him. While Intruder, he is also glad. He says, I'm glad to find that Gerard is happy. He adds that he won't remain happy for long. Why? Because there is some wrong intention. There are some intentions with Intruder. The Intruder asks Gerard to raise his hands up. Put those paws up. What does this mean? He says that Gerard, he asks Gerard to raise his hands. This is all very melodramatic, not very original, perhaps, but trying to be calmer. Now, Gerard finds Intruder's behavior very dramatic. He says that this is very dramatic and it's not very natural that is coming from your side. Intruder. Oh, so he's trying to be composed. He's actually out of words what to say. Nonchalant is a word, I think. What do you mean by nonchalant? Nonchalant means not showing interest or enthusiasm. Gerard adds, oh, he wants to say there is trying to be calm and nonchalant, that is, not to show any anxiety or enthusiasm. The Intruder thanks Gerard. You will soon stop being smart. I'll make you crawl. I want to know a few things. See? Intruder thanked Gerard for completing his sentence, as he stopped in between, as he didn't know what to say and how to complete the sentence. So Gerard completed his sentence by saying nonchalant. Intruder wanted to know about few things from Gerard. Gerard, anything you like. I know all the answers, but before we begin, I should like to change my position. You may be comfortable, but I am not. Gerard, being very calm, smartly says, I know the answers, but I would like to be comfortable. He wasn't comfortable standing, so he thought, why not to sit and be relaxed and talk to Intruder. Intruder, sit down there and no funny business. Motions to a chair and seats himself on the divan by the back. Now then, we will have a nice little talk about yourself. So, Intruder heard Gerard and instructed him to sit on the chair, and he himself sits on the divan. He says, let's talk something about Gerard, because he wanted to know things about Gerard. Gerard, at last, a sympathetic audience. I will tell you the story of my life. How as a child I was stolen by the gypsies, and why at the age of 32 I find myself in my lonely Essex cottage. How? Who are gypsies? Gypsies are nomads, like people who travel from one place to another. So they are gypsies, nomads. Gerard says to Intruder that now finally he has a person who is concerned about him and wants to know about his past. At last, a sympathetic audience. At last, a sympathetic audience is signified to the Intruder. He says, oh, so there is someone who is ready to listen to him about his story, who is really concerned about him. He also adds that he would tell about his life, how as a child he was stolen by a group of gypsies, by a group of nomads, and why at the age of 32 years he's living in a cottage called Essex, in Essex, a small cottage. So by saying this, he created a suspense around Intruder. Intruder, keep it to yourself and just answer my questions. You live here alone? Well, do you? The intruder was just interested to know more about Gerard, so his focus was more on him. He asked few questions from Gerard. First question that he asked is that, do you live alone here? Gerard, I'm sorry. I thought you were telling me, not asking me. A question of inflection. Inflection means a change in the modulation of voice. Like, we can easily differentiate when a person is asking a question and when a person is answering a question. So when intruder asks him, you live here alone. So Gerard says that I thought that this is that you were telling me that I am living alone. You were not asking me that are you living alone. I thought you were telling me that I am living here alone. This is a question of inflection. Inflection means a change in the modulation of your voice. Your voice is unfamiliar. Intruder, do you live here alone? Gerard asked. What would the intruder do if he did not answer this question? What would he do if I don't answer this question, if I'm not interested to answer this question? Intruder, you have got enough sense not to want to get hurt. The intruder now warned Gerard that if he did not want any harm, then he must obey intruder. He must obey him and answer all his questions. Gerard, I think good sense is shown more in the ability to avoid pain than in the mere desire to do so. What do you think, mister? Now here we can observe Gerard's intelligence, how he replied to intruder. How he replied, he said that his good sense reflected in his ability to avoid pain. Then the mere Gerard spoke intelligently and said that his good sense is reflected in his ability to avoid the pain, then the mere desire to avoid it. So he asked the intruder about his name. Intruder, never mind my name. I like yours better, Mr. Gerard. What are your Christian names? Here the intruder replied that he did not need to know his name. On the other hand, asked Gerard his Christian name, the name that was given. He was given when he was baptized in the church. Then he declares that his name is Vincent Charles. Intruder's next question was if Gerard had a car. Gerard, no. So Gerard replied in a negative way. He said, no, I don't run a car. That's a lie. You are not dealing with a fool. I am as smart as you and smarter. And I know you run a car. Better be careful, wise guy. The intruder said that Gerard was lying. He said that he was not foolish. He was even more smarter than Gerard, than him. And he already knew that he had a car. He possessed a car. He warned Gerard not to befool him. Gerard asked the intruder if he was really an American. Are you American, or is that merely a clever imitation? Or he was just copying being an American, as he was copying American accent. That is why I asked, are you American, or you just copying American accent? Intruder, listen. This gun's no toy. I can hurt you without killing you and get my answers. The intruder got very angry and said with his gun pointing on Gerard. He could harm him and still would get a reply to his question. So better mind. Gerard, of course, if you put it like that, I will be glad to assist you. I do possess a car and if it's in the garage round the corner. Gerard showed as if he got scared with the gun. He was not scared, but he acted as if he got scared and said that he would be happy to help the intruder now. Yes, he said, yes, I have a car and it's in the garage. That's better. Do people often come out here? The next question asked by intruder was whether the place was frequented by many people, whether people come frequently here. Very rarely, surprisingly, few people take the trouble to visit me. There's the baker, the grocer, of course, and then there's the milkman, quite charming, but no one so interesting as yourself. Gerard replied that he rarely had any visitors. He had only few people and fewer baker, greengrocer, milkman, and no one else bothers him. Only these people come to him to his place. Intruder, I happen to know that you never see tradespeople. The intruder said that he also came to know that Gerard did not meet tradespeople much. He did not meet them often. Gerard, you seem to have taken a considerable amount of trouble since you know so much about me. Won't you say something about yourself? You have been so modest. Gerard commented, said, intruder had gone a lot of trouble to gain information about Gerard because he had every bit of information about him. He also added, as the intruder knew a lot about him, then why don't he also reveal something about himself? Why he is being so reserved? He hadn't talked about much. Intruder, I could tell you plenty. You think you're smart, but I'm the top of the class around here. I have got brains and I use them. That's how I've got where I have. Intruder replies that I have many things to tell you about myself, but you think you are the only smart person here, but I am more smarter. And I won't tell you anything about me. I've got brains. That is why I'm here. Gerard, and where precisely have you got? It didn't require a great brain to break into my little cottage. Gerard commented that the man who had just come here inside my small cottage, it was not at all a big deal. And it even didn't require much intelligence. How come you're saying that you're intelligent enough? Intruder, when you know why I have broken in your little cottage, you will be surprised. And it won't be a pleasant surprise. The intruder said that the reason for his Gerard's cottage would shock him if he's going to reveal that why he entered the cottage. With you figuring so largely in it, that is understandable. By the way, what particular line of crime do you embrace, or aren't you a specialist? Gerard replied that by seeing his behavior, by seeing intruder's behavior, he knew that the reason for intruder to come at his cottage will be shocking, will be surprising. And he also further asked that what type of a crime you are specialized in. Aren't you a specialist? Intruder revealed. See here, like you must have observed that intruder in the beginning was not at all ready to tell about himself and he was calling himself smart. But Gerard, being more smarter, managed to take out the information about intruder while talking to him and provoking him in his own way. And now Intruder finally revealed about his speciality. He says that he is specialist in jewel robbery and your car will do me a treat. It's certainly a dandy bus. He also added that Gerard's car would be a gift for him because it's very stylish. The car that he possessed, Gerard had, was very stylish and Intruder really liked it. I'm afraid jewels are few and far between in the wilds of Essex. Gerard commented that in Essex jewels were hardly found. He wanted to say that it was really, not very worthy for the intruder to visit the area, as he would not going to find any jewels at his place at all. So are the cops. I can retire here nicely for a little while. The intruder added, just like the jewels, cops were also scarce in Essex, and so he could live there peacefully. You mean to live with me? A trifle sudden, isn't it? You have not been invited. Gerard asked if you want to live with me. If he wanted to live with him, he commented that the decision is so sudden. The decision that he had made just now, it's so sudden. And he had not invited Intruder to live with him. Then why so? He's coming here? Intruder, you won't be here long, so I didn't trouble to ask. The intruder replied that he did not take the trouble to ask permission from Gerard because he won't be there. Gerard won't be here at his cottage anymore. Intruder, you won't be here long, so I didn't trouble to ask. Gerard, what do you mean? Intruder, this is your biggest surprise. I am going to kill you. So now the biggest surprise revealed by Intruder to Gerard, that he came here to kill Gerard and take on his identity. Gerard, a little harsh, isn't it? Gerard said the man, Intruder, sounds very harsh to him. Intruder, with heavy sarcasm, means he replied sarcastically, yeah, I will be sorry to do it. He will also be sorry to do it. He didn't mean to be sorry. That is why with heavy sarcasm, sarcastically he says, yes, he would be sorry to do. But because he had developed a liking for him. I have taken a fancy to you, but it's just got to be done. He really likes. Intruder says that I have a really liking for you. That is why I have to do it with a very heavy heart. Gerard, why add murder to your other crimes? It's a grave step you're taking. Gerard said that killing a person is a serious crime and advised the intruder not to do so. Why he is adding this crime in his list? Intruder, I am not taking it for fun. I have been hunted long enough. I am wanted for murder already, and they can't hang me twice. The intruder revealed that he is already being chased up by the cops, as he had already murdered a person before also. And he says, even if I kill you, even if I kill another person, how does it matter? They are not going to put me to death. They are not going to hang me to death twice, because I've murdered earlier also. Even if I murder you, it will not matter at all. Gerard, you are planning a gratuitous double. Gratuitous double means something done without reason. You are planning a gratuitous double, so to speak. Admitted, you have nothing to lose, but what have you to gain? Gerard said to Intruder that if you are planning to murder me, if Intruder is planning to murder him without any reason. He agreed that obviously Intruder will not lose anything, but what he is going to gain. He agrees that he is not going to lose anything because he has murdered earlier also. But what he is going to gain after killing Gerard? The Intruder. I have got freedom to gain. So this is what he gained after murdering Intruder. This is what he wanted, is freedom. As for myself, I am a poor hunted rat. As Vincent Charles Gerard, I am free to go to places and do nothing. I can eat well and sleep and without having to be ready to beat it at the sight of a cop. Now the Intruder replied that in return for killing Gerard, he would get freedom. As he had committed a number of crimes, and if he takes the identity of Gerard, he could live the life of Vincent Charles Gerard freely, as he had been in running from police, as he was hiding like a rat. And if he could become Vincent Charles Gerard, he would live a life of freedom. He could go to places, eat well, sleep without the fear of being caught by the police. So, today we are going to be doing till here. I would want you to please do this activity. Just match the following. All these expressions you're going to be finding here. These phrases you're going to be finding in the whole lesson in the play. So the last point where we left is where Intruder reveals that why he had entered his cottage just to take on the identity of Vincent Charles Gerard, kill him and be Gerard himself, to live his life with full of freedom, freely, so that he could eat, sleep well, go to places and have a lovely life ahead.